Imagine an island surrounded by mist and plagued by horrible weather, where nothing is as it seems, and that usually distinct barrier between reality and delusion becomes blurrier with each passing hour. Shutter Island is a film that shows a journey into the troubled depths of the human mind, a place where guilt and trauma fester, shaping our reality, and where the truth is a luxury afforded by the few. As a viewer, Shutter Island is able to create such an intense response for me, and that is one of the reasons why I'm able to remember my first time watching it all this time later. I was engrossed in the intricacies and the details within this story. Like so many others, I found myself questioning everything that I saw, who I could trust, who I couldn't trust, whether Teddy was the hero or the victim of his own mind. It's a roller coaster of a movie that provokes so much thought, and it's so enjoyable to revisit, even now. Martin Scorsese's 2010 psychological thriller opts to delve deep into the complexity of guilt, trauma, and the fragile nature of identity. There is so much to unpack, whether that be in the character of Teddy and his psychological journey, the emotional weight of his guilt and trauma, and how the film executes a twist that reshapes our entire understanding of his story. Spoilers do lie ahead, so please avoid it if you're yet to catch this one, and with the disclaimer said and done, let's revisit Shutter Island 15 years on. From the first time we meet him, there's this thin layer of unreliability cast over Teddy Daniels as a narrator and his mission. Both literally and figuratively, the movie begins amidst the early signs of a storm as he arrives with his partner Chuck at Ashecliffe Hospital. On the surface, it's portrayed as nothing more than a US Marshal trying to solve a mystery, and yet from the outset there's this present tension, a sense that what Teddy is searching for is something far greater than he's ever encountered before. Teddy is someone overwhelmingly confident in his ability, determined to uncover the truth of the island. As we follow him through his exploration of Ashecliffe, it becomes clear to us that his quest for answers is far more personal than the overarching narrative would have us believe. The story gradually reveals layers of his psyche, showing a man haunted by far more than just the case he finds himself in. We're shown several flashbacks to his past as a soldier during World War II, which are critical when understanding his character. These memories haunt him, shown to us with a visual harshness that feels both cold and intimidating. But it isn't just the war that haunts him either, as we find out that he has also lost his wife, Dolores, something that strongly defines that emotional journey. The wartime flashbacks are sometimes interspersed with hallucinatory visions of Dolores, moments that blur those lines between reality and fiction for the audience. Teddy's perspective becomes less reliable as the film goes on. What starts as a straightforward missing persons case turns into this labyrinth of psychological complexity in which his sharp, investigative mind becomes overwhelmed by paranoia and fear. His pursuit of the truth about Ashecliffe blends with this deeper, gut-wrenching search for closure and redemption for his past actions. The weight of his guilt over his wife's death is a driving force behind every single decision made, a burden that colours his perception of the world. The guilt isn't just this subplot within the film, but the essence of Teddy as a character, influencing actions and pushing him into the deepest depths of his mind. The island almost becomes this involuntary symbol of the isolation and turmoil that Teddy feels, making it a perfect location for him to confront that trauma in more ways than one. The structure of Shutter Island is one that mirrors Teddy's descent into instability. Scenes become fragmented, reality becomes distorted as the audience is left trying to figure out what's real and what's simply a product of his mind. This uncertainty creates empathy within the audience. We feel that confusion, his desperation, and the relentless need to make sense of the chaos. Teddy is a vessel for the exploration of the human condition. The film invites us to consider how trauma and guilt warp that reality, how the mind can create illusions to protect itself from unbearable truths. Teddy's struggle is a deeply relatable one, sticking with anyone who has grappled with personal demons in their lives or sought redemption for past mistakes. By the time we get to the ending, his journey has become an odyssey. The twists and revelations deepen our understanding of the character, not just shock us. We are left with this intense sense of empathy for a man lost in the labyrinth of his own mind, seeking a way out but only stumbling through more questions. This is a story about the weight of guilt and the lingering scars left behind by trauma. Teddy is a man who is unfortunately deeply rooted in his own past, unable to forgive himself for actions that he has committed. The backstory unfolds gradually, but each revelation adds another layer to an already dense narrative. We learn about his experiences during World War II. The sights and moral dilemmas he faced there have left deep psychological wounds. These scenes are bleak. They're a reminder of the brutality of war and the toll it can take on our mind. But it's his personal life that carries the most weight. The death of his wife Dolores is the pivotal event that defines the journey. Through fragments of memories and haunting visions, we see that impact that her death has on him. Dolores isn't just a figure of his past, she's this constant presence that looms over Teddy, a constant reminder of his perceived failures and that guilt that he carries. His recollection of events is filled with anguish and grief, revealing a man who blames himself for her death. The guilt is the driving force behind all of his actions throughout the film. It fuels his need to find Rachel Solando, the missing patient, and unravel the mysteries of Shutter Island. But more than that, it's a quest for redemption, a way to atone for his past and find peace. As Teddy navigates the investigation, it becomes alarmingly clear that his quest mirrors that internal struggle. The search for truth on the island is almost symbolic of his search for truth within himself. Each of the clues he uncovers, each of the revelations faced, brings him closer to confronting the reality of those demons. These themes are able to resonate deeply with the audience because of their ability to tap into universal human experiences. Guilt and trauma are two feelings that many people can relate to, even if not on the same scale as Teddy in this film. The portrayal of these themes is both raw and nuanced, making Teddy's journey one that feels deeply personal and also emotionally charged. Shutter Island is so compelling in how it uses these themes to draw the audience into the world. We're not just observers, we're participants in the emotional struggle. The film forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about memory, guilt, and the ways in which we cope with trauma. Teddy's story reflects our own fears and the often painful process of coming to terms with our past. The final twist recontextualizes everything we've seen until this point, revealing the depths of his psychological turmoil. It's a haunting conclusion, and one that grapples with the interpretation of Teddy's fate and the nature of guilt versus redemption. I hinted at it, I've just mentioned it there, but if you're somehow living under a rock and you don't know how this thing ends, Shutter Island just so happens to include what is absolutely my favourite plot twist in any movie, TV show, or game ever. I've spent pretty much this entire video talking about it as if it's not there until this point, so let's finally get into it. The most compelling part of the entire movie is how it continually twists the perception of reality. The film leads us down a path where nothing is certain, and every revelation forces us to reconsider what we thought we knew. At the heart of these twists lies the truth about Teddy's identity and the true nature of Shutter Island. However unconvincing it sometimes felt, we're aligned with Teddy's perspective from the beginning. He's the hero, a US Marshal on a mission to uncover a conspiracy. However, as things develop during the film, subtle clues suggest that this isn't the entire truth. The cryptic behaviour of the hospital staff, the eerie atmosphere of the island, and Teddy's own fragmented memories all contribute to a growing sense of unease. Teddy Daniels being revealed as the Andrew Ladis that haunts him is a twist that reframes the entire story. What was literally just this straightforward mystery story suddenly becomes this deep, complex psychological study of the human mind. The twist recontextualizes Teddy's journey and casts his actions in a whole new light. We realise that this investigation was never about solving a crime because that never existed. Instead, it was all about him confronting his own guilt. The clues he was following were just breadcrumbs leading him back to a painful reality. The island, which was initially portrayed as a place of danger, is revealed to be a reflection of Teddy's internal turmoil. The emotional impact of this twist is immense. It deepens the themes that have been woven throughout the film. We see that his delusion was a way for him to cope with the unbearable guilt of his actions, and his constructed reality was nothing more than a defense mechanism, a way to shield himself from the devastating truth. On top of this, we also get the final line from Andrew in the film, which is something that truly cements the emotional and philosophical depth of this film. After things have been made clear to him, he sits on the steps with Dr. Shane, seemingly having relapsed back into the Teddy Daniels persona. As the staff face the sadness that is their failure, Teddy says something that leaves us thinking.
Which would be worse? To live as a monster? Or to die as a good man?
This line is loaded with implications, suggesting that Andrew is still in control of his lucidity. only to choose to retreat back into his delusion or perhaps willingly accept his fate. This moment creates this discussion about the ramifications of the choice. Is he opting for the perceived peace of a lobotomy because the weight of his guilt is too much to bear, or is it a final act of unwavering agency, a refusal to live with the reality of his monstrous past? The moment blurs the lines of reality and delusion, sanity and madness, leaving us to question, even today, the true nature of that decision. Andrew's question also speaks to the broader human condition. It poses this moral dilemma about identity and redemption. Can one find peace by erasing the self, even if it means losing one's grasp on reality? Is there redemption in the choice to forget, or is it just a cowardly escape? The film's ending is deliberately ambiguous, allowing for multiple interpretations. Some may interpret Andrew's choice as a tragic surrender, while others might view it as a final statement on the inescapability of guilt and the lengths that one might go to find some level of peace from that. It's a conclusion that prompts viewers to reconsider not only the fate of Andrew Laidis, but also the broader themes of morality and the human mind. In the end, Shutter Island leaves us with questions that don't have any concrete answer, but that is precisely the power in which it holds. The twists and turns are reflections of the complex emotional landscapes we all navigate. The exploration of reality, trauma, and redemption ensure that it remains a deeply affecting experience, one that continues to provoke thought and discussion even today. Shutter Island is a lesson in psychological storytelling, weaving together deep emotional themes, complex character arcs, and mind-numbing twists to craft a truly unforgettable cinematic experience. The film is about the human mind, the capacity for both resilience and fragility. Through Teddy's journey, we explore the impact of guilt, trauma, and the way in which we cope with unbearable truths. What makes it so compelling is how it immerses us in Teddy's landscape. The film invites us to feel that weight of emotion, grappling with the same doubts and fears, and to question the nature of reality itself. The twists are reveals that deepen our understanding of the character and the themes, forcing us to reconsider everything we thought we knew if we truly want to understand. It's a film that sticks, urging you to reflect on the implications, whether it be the haunting atmosphere, the intricate plot, or the raw emotional power. There's something in this film that has this biting habit of speaking to each of us on a deeply personal level, and that is the genius of Shutter Island.